Hello everyone, and welcome to our lesson on parts of a right triangle. I know that we've already learned about right triangles versus acute triangles and obtuse triangles, but now we're specifically going to focus in on right triangles. So remember that, what is a right triangle? A right triangle is a triangle that contains a right angle. A right triangle is a triangle that contains a right angle. So what is a right angle? A right angle is a 90-degree angle, and it's marked with that little box in the corner. Shows that it is 90 degrees. So this triangle in this picture right here is a right triangle because it contains this 90-degree angle. So it says 90, but even if it didn't say 90, we would know that this little corner means that this is 90 degrees. Okay? The other two angles in this triangle will be acute. They will measure less than 90. They will have a sum of less than 90. And then that blue one will be the biggest one in the right triangle. The biggest angle will be the 90-degree angle between those three. So it says choose and circle the right triangles. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a 90-degree angle box on the ones that we think are right angles. Which ones look like 90-degree angles before we get started? So the first one does not. Second one does not. This one looks like it might have a right angle right here. So we're going to define it. And we're going to draw it. Same thing here. This one has a right angle in the corner. This one does not. That's an obtuse angle. This one might or might not. It kind of looks acute, so I'm going to skip that one. This one we will say does have a right angle. This one we will say has a right angle. This looks like it's a little bit smaller. That's a question mark. So what we're going to do is we're going to say we don't know about these, so I'm not going to say that those are for sure. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the ones that we highlighted are for sure right angles. So only the ones that we highlighted are for sure right angles. So which ones are going to be right triangles? Just the ones that were given as we found them to be right angles. The other two, it's kind of too hard to tell. So like maybe this was 93, no goodness. Maybe this was 93 degrees or 92 degrees, but we couldn't really tell. Let me zoom that in a little bit. So this one was like maybe 92 degrees. And then maybe this one was really, really close, but it was 84 degrees instead of 90. So we would say that those other ones are not right triangles because they do not contain right angles. So we would cross these out and say that those are not right triangles. That would be an acute triangle, an obtuse triangle, an obtuse triangle, an acute triangle, and an obtuse triangle. Only the pink ones are our right triangles. So we circled the ones that were right triangles. So what are the parts of a right triangle? How do I name the parts of a right triangle? Well, the hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle, and it's going to lie opposite the right angle on the other side of the right angle. So let's label that. Here is my right angle. Here's my right triangle, and there's the right angle. Across from that piece is going to be my hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. And most of the time, we're going to label our hypotenuse the C value. So I'm going to highlight it. The right angle shows me that my right angle is across from my hypotenuse, and that's the longest side. And we're going to label that C. Okay, so we're going to label the hypotenuse C on most of the triangles that we're working with. What are the other parts of a right triangle? The other parts are going to be the legs. So if this is my hypotenuse, what are the other two sides called? The other two sides are going to be called the legs. The other two sides of a right triangle that touch the right angle, the two sides that touch the right angle are going to be the legs. So here's my right angle. What are the two sides that touch it? This one and this one touch the right angle. Both of those are a part of the right angle. They're touching it, and they form a capital letter L. They're the ones around the right angle, and they're going to be called the legs. We're going to label those legs A and B. And it does not matter if you labeled that one A and that one B, or this one B and this one A. These are going to be called the legs. This is a leg, and this is a leg. So leg A and leg B. Okay, so every time we're going to label our legs A and B, and our hypotenuse will be our C. So we're going to label the parts just with vocabulary this time. So here is my right angle in this right triangle. So what is my hypotenuse? My hypotenuse is this side right here. We're going to call this our hypotenuse, which we're going to label C. And then my other two sides are going to be considered my legs. So this is a leg and this is a leg. So I'm going to call that a leg and I'm going to call this a leg. I'm going to label one of them A and I'm going to label one of them B. Okay, so the hypotenuse is opposite the right angle and the legs are the other two sides. So now we're going to start labeling different triangles with parts A, B, and C. So the first thing that I like to do is find the right angle every time. Because if you can find the right angle, the hypotenuse is going to be across from the right angle. So this part is going to be C. This part, the longest side, is going to be C. And then this part, the longest side, is going to be C. So the hypotenuse is always opposite the right angle. The other two pieces are going to be the legs. And we're going to label those with an A and a B. Doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B. But those two legs are going to be labeled with an A and a B, and those are the ones touching the right angle. So this is A and B. Okay, so that's what you're doing on your assignment. You're just practicing labeling which parts of the right triangle are A and B, the legs, and which parts of the right triangle are the hypotenuse, which is going to be the C value. Hope you're having a good day.